Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, your sanctuary with retreat experts, where we spill the tea on retreat success. Here we dive into crafting transformational guest experiences, talk about how to avoid pitfalls, and unlock marketing secrets. Whether you're a seasoned guru or a budding enthusiast, we've got the inside scoop for you. Join us as we learn how to flourish in this magical world of retreats. Hey guys, welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. I am so excited to have you here. I'm so excited to have my guest here, especially because this is something that I don't think retreat leaders, we're just going to say retreat leaders don't realize that this is part of their job once they decide to sell retreats. So first of all, welcome Nikki Rausch to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so glad you're here because Nikki, she is going to help us break down what sales is. But before she does all of that, will you just tell us about yourself and what brought you to where you are today?
Yeah, so I'm a sales professional by trade and have been in sales for over 25 years. And I started my own business back in 2013, which is Sales Maven. So I'm the CEO of Sales Maven and founder. And now I teach people how to have more strategic sales conversations. For me, it's always about, can you make the conversation easy and conversational for the prospect or for the buyer and build relationship, build rapport, and the sales conversation gets so much easier for the seller who maybe isn't that comfortable selling. So I spend a lot of time teaching people how to have more effective sales conversations.
Yes, because one of the things that actually came up in a conversation I was having yesterday is that a lot, I don't want to say all because I just don't like to generalize that much, but a lot of retreat leaders or prospective retreat leaders do not realize that as soon as they've created their retreat and they've put it on the world to attract people to attend the retreat, they are now salespeople.
Amen.
And so a lot of people have this block. No, I'm not a salesperson. I am a yoga instructor, or I am an art instructor, or I am a XYZ person. And it's like, you may be, but you are also now a salesperson. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on that and that whole mindset?
Yeah. So, sales is that component to your business. No matter what title you have, if it's your business or it's your retreat, there is a sales component to your work. Because if you are not making sales, you have a hobby, you don't have a business. And if you want this to be a successful business, and if you want to make the biggest impact in the world that you can make in the field that you're in, sales is going to be a component. And so it's not a skill that people often learn because it's not widely taught. And yet it's one of the most effective skills that you will learn ever in your life. And you can use it in every area of your life. And it's something that it's not scary. Every single person can learn how to sell. So I know there's a misconception of like, some people are natural born salespeople. Well, maybe so. Some people are natural born athletes too. And they still get coaching. They still learn the mechanics of how to, if you're a pitcher or if you're a soccer player, like you still learn the mechanics. So everybody can learn how to sell and how to do it in a way that, like I said, it's about making it easy for the seller, but also for the buyer. And one of the other things I often say is people think that sales is something you do to another person. And most of us, especially if you're a service-based provider, a yoga teacher, or somebody who's like, I'm here to make a positive impact on the world. We don't want to do things to people. That feels manipulative and that feels gross. But sales actually is something you do with another person. So when you start to approach this as it's a with opportunity, it's a conversation, it takes the yuck out of it and it takes the pressure off of you to be like, I got to be a pushy, aggressive salesperson. You absolutely do not. You can be soft, you can be gentle, you can be kind, and you can be effective at sales.
Yes. All of this. I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong in your opinion or from your viewpoint, I feel like as long as you're being authentically you can be whatever that looks like and still be a salesperson, right? Just like you were saying, there are some people, listen, I have worked with and met people who aggressive could be the word, or they're just really driven, and they're fantastic. And it is not my personality whatsoever, but they're really great at what they do in that way. And then I've met people who it's just like, you want to purchase from them just because of, how they live their life, or the excitement that they bring to the conversation, or, you know what I mean? So I feel like if you're just being authentically you and using that space with, I love the whole with, like, we're doing this together, and almost a servant mindset, because for me, I look at it like, I feel like it's a disservice if I don't tell you about how amazing my retreats are. You know what I mean? And so it almost is like, you be authentically you, come from this with, and also maybe even a servant heart. I don't know. It just feels super not ugly.
Yeah, you're speaking my language. That's it. You can be authentically you. Now, the piece that I teach is the structure. So I have a pretty extensive background in neurolinguistic programming. And if that's a new term to anybody
Love
listening,
it.
it's essentially the study of communication. And in NLP, we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And when you're able to put a structure in place, you can achieve similar results to people who are already getting exceptional results. And even people who are really, really good at something, they have a structure. Now, whether they can articulate the structure to you or not, that's not always the case, because it lives in their what's called the unconscious competence. Those are the things that feel like your superpowers, the things that seem so easy to you that everybody else around you is like, how do you know to do that? And you kind of think like, it's not that hard because it lives in your unconscious competence. But realistically, there is a structure. And so regardless of your personality, regardless of your style, that will work and be authentically you, as long as you can put a structure in place that you understand. So I teach my signature framework for a sales conversation. I call it the selling staircase, and there's 5 steps to it. And it's the structure of a sales conversation. That's why I teach it. And I teach it and call it the staircase because most people understand that you ascend a staircase one step at a time, right? Like, you don't stand at the bottom of a staircase and hop to the top step. Now, if you have a really strong core, you might be like, oh, I could totally do that. But your clients won't do it because they'll be like, I don't think I'm going to do that because I might bang my shins. I might miss a step. That could feel, dangerous and unsafe.
Bust my face open.
Right, right. So by having the staircase, by understanding this like step process through a sales conversation, it allows the seller, you in this case, the retreat seller, to go, I know what step I'm on with this person, and I know what the logical next step is. So it's my job to guide them to that step. It's not to stand at the bottom and say, hey, everybody, go buy my thing and jump to the top step. And we all know what it's like for people to sell to us like that, right? Like, we get these emails that show up every day. Those of us who are business owners of like, hey, I checked out your YouTube channel and here's all the things you're doing wrong.
Oh my
You should
gosh.
totally hire me, right? Like, we're all sick of those. It's like, I don't know you, and I didn't give you permission to critique my YouTube channel, and now it feels yucky. That's because they're skipping all the steps. But when you understand the steps, when you understand the structure, selling gets easier. And not just for you as the seller, it gets so much easier for the buyer. The experience for them is way more pleasant. And you probably have experienced that, right? You've been in a conversation with somebody who's made the process lovely, and you've been so happy about the investment that you made. And it isn't about the money you spent with them, it's about the investment you made in yourself. And if you're putting on a retreat, that is an investment for that person who's going to have that experience of going to this retreat and connecting with people and learning something and being in this, positive energy, like all the things you want from your retreat. That's going to happen. So it's about an investment for that person to make that decision for themselves. Your job is to just guide it and make it easy for them to make that decision and get to the retreat so they can have that experience and be delighted about the money they spent to be there.
Yes. Okay. I'm loving this. Hey, retreat leaders. Are your retreats the hidden gems of the travel world just waiting to be discovered? Well, it's time to shine a spotlight on them. Introducing the ultimate guide you've been waiting for, our free guide, Top 11 Tips for Building an Email List for you, the retreat leaders. Imagine an email list packed with eager attendees, hanging on to your every word and ready to book at the click of a button. We share the blueprint to creating a list that sells. Don't miss out on the action. Learn how to connect deeply with your audience, boost your bookings, and create a buzz that fills every retreat. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, these 11 tips are your secret weapon to success. Visit retreatleaderlistbuilding.com now to grab your free copy and start building an email list that sells out your retreats. Now I'm going to take us in a little bit of a tiny different direction.
Okay.
What do you see is the top 1 or 2 mistakes people make when they're approaching sales?
So first is that they skip the steps. They go right in for the hard sell. One of the other things is because they don't guide the conversation, they don't know how to recognize and act on buying signals. And I can go as deep as you want into buying signals. I actually wrote a whole book on it. It's like my second book of the 3. But here's the thing I want to say is with sales, there's some things that have to happen. There needs to be some curiosity built for the buyer to even want to learn more, right? So we've got to learn how to build curiosity. When we get curiosity from the buyer, they start to give us buying signals. When we get buying signals, we're going to issue invitations for them to move to the next step. And a lot of times that involves getting permission. So with somebody who you're interested in selling to, we need to understand, do they have a want or a need or a desire for what it is that I'm offering? Do I have a solution that will meet that want, that need, solve that problem, right? Meet that desire. And then third, do I have permission to put an offer in front of them? Because we don't like to be sold to from people that don't have our permission, right? So we want to make sure we're getting permission. If you know the person has a need, if you know you have a solution and you have permission to put the solution in front of them, again, it's about making the selling process so easy. So when you say mistakes, is oftentimes people don't have permission, they don't understand, does the person have the need, and they don't even know if they have a solution that is going to meet this need because they don't know what the need is, right? It's just oh, I'm going to sell to everybody. Well, if you're going to sell to everybody, you're going to waste a lot of time. It's like the shotgun approach to sales. It's I'm going to buy a list of, people who've ever expressed interest in yoga and invite them to my retreat. That is a waste of your money. You might as well just go flush it down the toilet. But if you actually reach out to people who are interested in yoga, know about you, or are interested in retreats and what's possible of the benefits that the retreat is going to provide to them, and you get permission to put the retreat information in front of them, now they're much more likely to buy from you.
See, I love this because one of my biggest sayings that I tell people, and when I used to do one-on-one work with people, this was one of the biggest things I honed in on, which is if you are marketing to everyone, you're marketing to no one.
Amen. Yes.
You have got to know who your target audience is specifically and then speak their language. I see it all the time where someone's like, well, I've got 20 spots to fill. And it's like, okay, now you're just saying I have 20, whatever, XYZ. What are you actually selling? What's the experience and who's it for specifically? Yeah. What are they going to experience? What's their pain point? What does this look like for that particular person? I even say, Nikki, am imagine your most ideal client you want to work with. Imagine who that person is. Is she or he, I'm talking, what are their shopping habits? Do they go to church? Are they married? Do they have kids?
What kind of car do they drive?
Yes. Yeah. Where do they hang out? What kind of social media things are they looking at? I'm really define who that person is, get to know that person, make them your, that's your best friend in some ways. And so that you really can speak that person's language, because otherwise, it's just, look at more and more people are hosting retreats now, which I love, by the way. I think this is beautiful. But when that happens, it's like anything else, when you've got more and more and more and more, you could do a Google search now compared to when I started doing it 15 years ago, and it's night and day. And so you're just going to be noise out there. You're just going to be the next shiny object that they're just going to keep scrolling by. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. So this idea of speaking right to the, your ideal buyer, because what happens is when you speak right to the ideal buyer, you're helping their brain make decisions, right? Because our brains are like Google, right? If you go to Google right now and you try to get an answer to anything, it doesn't matter what you type into Google, it's trying to give you an answer. It doesn't mean it's going to give you the right answer. But there's so much noise, like you said. We've got to clear the field for people. We've got to like remove all the like garbage and speak right to the person that is the ideal buyer for the retreat. Now, what will happen is people who might be like adjacent to the ideal buyer may still come and put themselves there and have an amazing experience. But if their brain doesn't have something to associate to go like, oh, this is speaking to me, or this is what I want in my life. If it's just a retreat, like, okay, like you said, you can go to Google right now, you can find all these retreats. We have to make it so clear and easy for their brain to go, yes, this is the one for me. This is the retreat host that I want to, participate in. And this is a venue that I want to be at, or this is the experience that I want to have. These are the benefits I want to walk away from. Now, when you speak to that person, it feels personalized, because one of the big mistakes that people make, this isn't marketing, but in sales too, like exactly what you said, because I say this all the time too. Like when you talk to everybody, you're talking to nobody. So we send out messages that say like, hey, everybody. Well, first of all, I don't know about you, but I haven't read emails as a group ever in my life. Like I don't sit around with a bunch of people and like read emails. So why are you sending an email like, hey, everyone? That already feels like it's not to me. But if you say, hey, Nikki, or hey, you, right? Even that is better than hey, everyone, because now it feels like, oh, they're talking to me, an individual,
I love
because I'm
that.
making that decision as an individual, right? So we got to make it so like spot on, which I think sometimes people are afraid of, because then they think, well, people are going to eliminate themselves. Actually, no, you're just making it easier for them to go, I want some of that in my life, because it feels so clear as to what the outcome is. What's the benefit? What am I going to get out of this? Now you're speaking right to your buyer.
Yes, because I think too, this goes hand in hand with kind of the mistake part of it, I think, is if you're just trying to fill a spot and you fill it with someone who is not really truly going to resonate with your energy and your alignment and what the benefits, as you said, or to ease the pain point, whatever it is, if they show up and you just, did it just to fill a spot, it makes it so much harder. And that's where you get disconnect. I feel like at a retreat is where there's people who showed up who were like, well, that's not really what I thought this retreat was going to be about, because
Yeah.
it wasn't marketed or sold properly, right? It was literally just because here at the end of the day, anybody could book a weekend at a hotel spa, right? And go get a massage and attend a yoga class or whatever. Like anybody
Absolutely.
could do that on their own. What differentiate your retreat from just a travel experience? And then what differentiates your retreat from also the hundreds of other that are going on at the same time or same location or whatever may be the case?
Yeah. I always think about this. I think about this a lot, and I teach this around sales, but I think this works in the analogy that you're giving too. Is like, imagine that your retreat is like the most satisfying liquid and you're really thirsty. And it could be whatever's in that liquid, like, but you're really thirsty. So for some of us, it's like crystal clear, cool water would be super satisfying to quench my thirst, right? And so all the people, the retreat is this beautiful glass, and all the attendees are like the water or the liquid, whatever it is that you're going to quench your thirst with. And then because you're just going to put somebody in a seat there, if somebody walks by and that person that's going to be put in the seat is like a little clump of dirt, and they like flick it into your into your crystal clear, like perfect temperature, perfect, liquid that you're about to quench your thirst with. Like, how attractive now is drinking that glass of whatever it is? Like, they just muddied the waters. They just muddied that thing that you were so excited about. So you don't want to just have people show up and have butts in seats, because they're going to like taint the experience for everybody else. And then how easy is it going to be for you to sell next year's retreat or next month's or, next quarter's retreat, however often you're doing them? It's going to be so much harder.
Man, that's such a good analogy. I'm like dying over here. Hey, it's Shannon here. I'm just popping in really quickly to ask a big favor. Would you pause the show and go review it for us? Please. Reviews really help us to be able to get more guests and more experts on the show to help you transform your retreats. So if you wouldn't mind pausing and leaving us a review, that would mean everything. And if you're not already subscribed, do that too. That is exactly what happens. And what's sad about it, I've seen it. I've seen it happen to hosts, especially with my venue now. I've seen it before when I worked with people and they'd come to me and tell me what happened. And I'm like, oh, I can kind of tell you exactly where this went a little sideways for you. And then now I really see it as a venue. And what happens is that dirty water, not only is it not satisfying now to all the rest of your guests, but you're constantly trying to clean that water up. The whole retreat, you were exhausted from trying to keep the water clear and trying to minimize the dirt, remove the dirt, get the dirt away from, you know what I mean? Like this is such a good analogy because it is exhausting. It is exhausting for the host. It's actually exhausting for the guests too, because they feel it. And everybody walks away dissatisfied. The dirt walks away dissatisfied because they were looking for something completely different. And we're using this as just an analogy because that dirty person is probably a lovely person. It just was not a fit for them, right?
Absolutely.
And the rest of the people
let's be honest, dirt has a place.
Everything does, right?
Not at your retreat. And
yeah. That's such a good analogy because I have seen that happen time and time again, and everybody walks away unhappy. Yeah. And you typically probably may not even do another retreat because you're like, that was just horrible. And you don't even know where it went sideways necessarily because your whole goal was just to fill a retreat.
Yeah. And the other thing too that happens is this happens in business, this happens in sales, is you start making adjustments for that one person, which then robs everybody else of the experience that they were supposed to have because you're trying to constantly adjust to fix something for somebody who what you're fixing isn't broken. You just have the wrong person in the seat.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm all for bringing revenue into the business, and I understand, the cost of what's involved with retreats. And, it's a huge time commitment. It's a huge financial commitment to put something like that on. But having the wrong person there will, like you said, it sucks your energy. It taints everything for everybody else. And you don't really get to deliver the thing that you wanted to deliver because you're making adjustments to try to kind of minimize the impact for this one little clump of dirt.
Yeah, you're right. I have had to have conversations with prospective guests to my own retreat and say, I just don't think this is a fit for you. And the truth is that's what it is. It's not even that they are not a fit. This retreat is not a fit for what you're looking for, right? So this isn't about exclusion at all. This is about, does this make sense for where you are and what you are looking for? And if it doesn't, and you invite them in, all of these things that we are talking about is absolutely going to happen. It's going to muddy it up. You're going to be exhausted. I love that you brought up the fact that, you're going to end up making adjustments to the schedule, to the workshops, to everything that you had in mind, which that in itself is like overwhelming and holy shit, trying to do that while you're in retreat. Yep. And so all of that's going to go south simply because you wanted to fill the seat. I've always told people, look, you, especially new retreat leaders, you fill these seats, however many you fill, with the people that you can serve and that you are talking to and your ideal demographic, your target market, even if it's smaller than you thought, because you are going to feed off of that beautiful energy that's going to happen in that perfect group, whatever size that is. You're going to get great testimonies. You're going to build your business from there, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger from there, rather than, you know what, I need to break even or I need to make a profit. And so I'm just going to throw, Tom, Dick, and Harry in there, whatever, just to make it work. And even worse, they give those spots away typically at even like half of what they normally would just to fill the damn thing. And I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah. I call those situations when you're talking to somebody and this is not the right fit for them. Like, it's okay to bless and release people. And that doesn't mean the person is bad. It doesn't mean that your offer is wrong. But not everybody is a client. Not everybody is the perfect ideal retreat goer for you. And it's okay to bless and release people. And oftentimes when I bless and release potential clients that I go like, I just get a sense like I'm not the right coach for them, or my program isn't going to, meet the requirements that they have or solve the problem that they're looking for. And I bless and release those people. Oftentimes, like, the next person who shows up is like the perfect client, right? Or the perfect opportunity for whatever I'm doing. So we have to make room. It's okay to repel, people. And I do it in the way that hopefully feels like a bless and release. So they don't leave going like, oh, Nikki doesn't think I'm, good enough to work with her. No, they leave going like, thank goodness Nikki told me that I would be better served, finding a coach that helps with X, Y, and Z because this has moved my business forward. Right. And actually, I find a lot of times when I do that, those people end up referring people to me. When I bless and release people, they'll go like, okay, I wasn't a fit for Nikki, but I know somebody who would be a good fit for her, and I'm going to send them her way.
Yes, because they feel your genuine desire to help them, even if it's not with you, right? And because that's really what it comes down to. I have done exactly that too. And I love the bless and release. I'm stealing that too, because it's like, there's been several times where I'm like, my retreat's not a fit because I am not going to change my retreat for, a single person. I'm not going to change my retreat period because I know what I want and what I'm trying to achieve at my retreats, right? But then I've sent them to a couple different places that I think might be a really good fit for them. And it's going to benefit another host and them. It's a win-win. And you're right. We'll just call it we'll do the woo-woo side. That's just good karma. And somehow it does. It comes right back around. And next thing you know, you've got two people now that want to sign up together. And so, I love that. It's bless and release for everybody. That's such a valid, great way, I guess I should say, not valid, although it is valid, but a great way of looking at it and approaching it.
Good. I'm glad you like that one.
Yeah, that is super yummy. Hey guys, I'm popping in to ask a quick question. Are you ready to elevate your marketing game and fill those retreat slots faster than ever? Of course you are. That's why you're here. And we've got the toolkit for you. Our top 5 marketing tools for retreat leaders guide. This isn't just a guide. It's your marketing guru wrapped up in one easy to follow package. Dive into the essentials of social media marketing, where we show you how to leverage those platforms to create a community buzzing with excitement for your retreats. Also, unleash the power of content marketing with strategies that educate and engage your potential guests. Plus, we'll dive into email marketing, SEO, and partnership opportunities that open new doors and bring in streams of attendees. So why wait to make your retreats the talk of the town? Download your free guide today by visiting retreatmarketingtools.com and start transforming your retreat dreams into reality. Okay, if somebody wants to work with you to get help in their sales process, what does that look like? What programs do you have or what do you offer? And tell me how that all looks.
So I work with clients in a couple different ways. I have private coaching clients where I work individual. Usually it's for a period of time. I do offer one-off strategy sessions if people are just looking for some help on like, I just am struggling with this in my sales process. We can do a strategy session, but typically it's going to be a couple month program of us doing some intensive work together. And then I have a group coaching program. It's called the Sales Mavens Society. And that is a place for people to come get coaching from me. I do live coaching calls twice a month, and you're getting individual, personalized, answers to your questions in a group setting. Plus you get access to my training center, which is fairly robust. It's kind of like the Netflix of sales training. There's so much content in there. And then you get access in a private group to ask me questions. So that's my group coaching program. And then every once in a while I teach workshops for corporate, like for companies who want to teach their salespeople how to do trainings. But every once in a while I'll put on a workshop or a master class that people can sign up and take part in. So that's pretty much how I work with people. Private group coaching, and every once in a while there's an opportunity to take a course with me.
I love it. And I will have it all linked in the show notes. But if you want to say it for those people who do not want to go through the show notes, where can they find you? Like, you want to shout out your website? What's the best place for them to find you?
So I'm going to wrap it around a gift for your audience, if that's okay. So I have an ebook. Okay, good. It's called Closing the Sale, and it's about building your confidence in those consult calls. So if you're having consult calls with potential buyers, this is going to give you some language, build your confidence around how to manage that and successfully close. You can get that by going to yoursalesmaven.com/retreat. So this is for your listeners. So yoursalesmaven.com/retreat. I also have a podcast called Sales Maven. So if you like tips and strategies and techniques, that is a place for you to go and check it out and listen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This has been incredible. I'm overjoyed with the fact that we got to talk about the fact that we are all salespeople. Whether we'd like to wear that title or not, we are. And I actually think we should be proud of it because it is service and we're working with our folks, just like you said. So thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation.
Thanks, Shannon, for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. Learn more at www.theretreatranch.com. See you next time.